York is famous for its medieval past, but many of the buildings that we live, work and enjoy time off in would have been familiar to figures from a more recent history. This series of short films looks at health and poverty in the city in the 19th and early 20th century, using photographs and documents from the Explore York archives. Come with me to walk in the footsteps of real people from the past and better understand what it meant to live in York over 100 years ago. Just off Fossgate here, in 1902, lived Mary Rogers. She worked as a midwife, but was failing to meet new and important standards. As this inspection report from the archives shows, Mary didn't have a lot of equipment. She had no apron, no bag or apparatus, and no case register. The inspector notes that she couldn't write, suggesting that she hadn't had formal education and probably came from a poorer background. The inspector tried to persuade her to give up her work, likely her main source of income. But Mary continued to practice, showing up in the records 2 months later, described as improving, having obtained more equipment. These regulations were meaningful steps towards the safer delivery of babies, but they would make it harder for women from poorer backgrounds to practice. Working in healthcare was an accepted career for women, as it fulfilled the Victorian stereotype of women as caregivers. One 22-year-old woman, Nelly Hewitt, who was working as a serving maid for the Roundtree family, applied to train as a nurse in order to improve her position in 1914. She lived here on Heatherton Street, Marygate. To become a nurse probationer, you had to be a single woman between 21 and 30, with no children to look after. You must be educated, active, industrious, thoroughly trustworthy, and of good character. Nelly's application was accepted, and she started work 1 week before the outbreak of World War I. For some women, nursing was a way to claim independence. This was the case for Peggy Blancan. Born in the Lake District, she trained in Glasgow, then worked in Leeds, Aberdeen, London, Hull, and Windsor. Her referees gave her outstanding reports, describing her as capable and tactful in dealing with patients and staff, exceptionally good at training the probationers. In 1913, she took up a position here as superintendent nurse at the York Workhouse Infirmary on Huntington Road, where Nelly would start working the following year. Peggy comes across in the archives as adventurous and determined. Her occupation as a nurse enabled her to travel around the country if she wished. In 1933, Peggy was even listed as a passenger on a ship to New York. Whether for work or to visit family, we can't be sure, but this was unusual for a working woman. Peggy returned to the UK at a later date, never married or had children as far as we can tell, and lived to be 78. Does her life challenge your understanding of women at this time? Shining a light on marginalised groups from the past, such as women, is a useful way of using the archives. By highlighting the lives of people whose stories are often untold, we can deconstruct stereotypes, give these groups their histories back, and celebrate their contribution to our present way of life.